politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the beat. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty.
Good morning, Bellows Falls and Rockingham. It's Mike and Marty. We're here today with Sean Roberts. We're going to be talking about Main Street Arts and plays doing and all the stuff that's coming on this summer. It's July 27th, Wednesday, and the last Wednesday of July. It's going fast. Yes. Marty, local events.
Local events. So this week at the Bellows Falls Opera House, starting on the 29th, is Paws of Fury. I know there was a little confusion that maybe Thor was coming, but Disney nixed that, so it's Paws of Fury. And then one of the best classic movies, well, I say this probably every week about the classic movie, but one of the best classic movies ever is happening tonight at the Opera House, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's sponsored by Greater Falls Insurance. And I'm going to quiz these two to see if you can remember at least one of the famous quotes from Ferris Bueller.
Bueller?
Oh, you took
Bueller.
Bueller, yeah. There's another one.
I don't know.
He ends the movie with it. I think it's a really good life lesson.
I don't know. Go ahead.
You got it.
Yeah, I don't remember. Off the top of
Life
my head.
moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Yep.
I think that's a good analogy for life. So go to see Ferris Bueller's tonight, sponsored by Greater Falls Insurance. And that's all I've got.
Okay. Well, on that note, let's go to Sean. How you doing, Sean?
Good.
For people who don't know you, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us all the various roles you're playing right now? Because it's a myriad. You wear a myriad of hats. Let's put it that way.
So I'm Sean Roberts. I am the owner, founder of a nonprofit called World Under Wonder, which used to have a property in Ascutney, Vermont, but it's actually under contract right now and I'm selling it. And that was because I got hired by Main Street Arts to become their facilities manager and to direct a show for them during the summer, which is why I'm doing the books of Alice in Wonderland. And so I'm a resident artist of Main Street Arts. And I'm the facilities manager of Main Street Arts, and then I'm also the live event coordinator, special event coordinator for the Bellows Falls Opera House.
Great.
Yeah.
It's a lot of,
That's a lot of hats. Plus, you also wrote the Book of Alice, right?
Yes.
The Books of Alice.
Yeah.
And you're directing the Books of Alice.
Yeah. When I was actually, the nonprofit World Under Wonder was planning on doing a play this coming summer, but Main Street Arts reached out to me to direct a show for them. The play that I wanted to do is a little bit darker. It's sad. It's my own original piece called Through Kern. I'm actually wearing a shirt for it on the back. It's Through Kern's Eyes, and they wanted something a little bit more uplifting, a little bit more exciting, fluffy, something to escape into rather than deal with catharsis.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
And so we talked about Alice in Wonderland because I'm very familiar with it. It's actually the logo of World Under Wonder all that's inspired by Wonderland. And so we wanted to try to make it as cheap as possible. And so I said, I have a script in mind for Wonderland rather than using one that already exists that we'd have to pay royalties for and all that type of stuff. And so I finished the script that I was working on along with the score for in about a month and a half before auditions kicked off. And then I was like, there you go. We can do this and we can do whatever we want with it now.
Which is an important thing. I mean,
Well,
we were talking about this earlier, that if we want to do something with Fact TV and wanting to film it, we always run into copyright issues, and it's often difficult. And as much as we would like to film local plays, we often run into the fact that we can't because they're copyrighted.
Copyright engagement, right? And also, I was surprised when you said you wanted to keep it inexpensive. I was surprised in looking it up. The tickets are only $10, and it's part and parcel of that because you don't have to pay royalty fees, right?
Yes, and also I try to make whatever I do artistically as accessible. Try to make it as accessible as possible, whether we're talking about like the participants or whether we're talking about the patrons coming to see it. I don't like creating something that feels in any way exclusionary. And like for future shows, because of our lack of capacity for like a really large audience, I believe tickets for our future fall show that I plan on doing will probably be in the $15 range, but we'll be giving comp tickets to people who are in the show to try to balance that out. But just so then we can try to make up for some of the money and the costs of a production. We might have to make it $15, but I think that's expensive that I'll make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it's a good time as any to talk about Main Street Arts as sort of being reborn, I guess. I can't think of a good term.
Phoenix Rising.
The Phoenix Rising. They did the Phoenix, and they did that the puppet, and they've been doing that theme, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that, about how Main Street Arts is sort of remaking itself with a new, so I won't add more. I won't fill.
Well, when it comes to Main Street Arts starting over, the Phoenix does give a good representation of what it is with the resurrection, but I will definitely say that I feel it's more of a reincarnation, because resurrection means you're kind of bringing the same thing back, whereas reincarnation, it's new, it's changed. And Main Street Arts has definitely changed, because in its past, a lot of focus was on the play that it was doing at that time, and everything was very dependent upon like this one course that it was on.
Right.
Whereas now Main Street Arts is trying to focus on being a venue for other artists, trying to make ourselves as accessible as possible to collaborations with other artists, such as what's happening with me now, where I'm acting as a resident artist for Main Street Arts. Then there's collaborations where, like Hamlet. Hamlet was a collaboration piece because Wild Goose, that nonprofit, worked with Main Street Arts and came in and used our venue to put on that production. And then there's rentals. And so we want to make ourselves as open and as accessible as possible.
Plus, you'd use some of the gallery space with Canal Street galleries.
And
right?
we have the gallery, right now we've got the Canal Street Gallery represented artists, and it's a group of artists that are coming in, and the gallery is quote unquote free for an artist to put their gallery work in there, and then any sales that happen, Main Street Arts keeps a small percentage to offset the use of the space.
Nice.
And so we've got the gallery, we've got plays that happen, we've got musical groups that have performed over the course of this last summer and coming up too, such as Toi Ami, which is a band that focuses on traditional Quebec music, which involves, I believe, fiddles, accordions, pianos, and they're playing on August 7th.
Oh, that's
Nice.
coming
That's
right
coming
up.
right
That's-
up.
Yeah.
And then Alice in Wonderland, the Books of Alice in Wonderland is coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday, July 29th and 30th at 7 p.m., and then the 31st, Sunday at 2 p.m.
Okay, good.
And we've already sold like 92 tickets.
That's great.
Oh, that's great.
That's
That's
great.
excellent.
I know, hoping to get 60 more before Friday. I'd really like that number, but right now that's pretty good.
But that's a pretty good pre-sale already.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is,
That's
really.
great. What made you decide? I mean, you said so you had this script already, kind of going like, why the Book of Alice? Why that?
It was like I said, something that I had kind of the beginning of a script started, along with music that I had made back in 2016 for a version that we did at the Claremont Opera House. So I was very familiar with it. It's the entire inspiration for World Under Wonder, my own nonprofit. So I saw it fitting, if we weren't going to be doing this other play that I wanted to do, since kind of World Under Wonder as a venue is going away and it's just the nonprofit as me, I figured it would be a great transition to then bring something of wonder into Main Street Arts. So yeah.
That's great. And it's the cast is like all local, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
all-
And large.
Oh yeah,
Relatively.
we've got 24 actors in
Yeah,
the show, so
yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Now lost my train of thought there for a minute. So everybody knows the story of Alice in Wonderland, and probably most commonly known as the Disney production. But I believe yours differs a little bit, correct?
Yes. one big example would be the Tweedledee and Tweedledum characters. Everybody always thinks of them as like, oh, Alice in Wonderland, and these characters follow Alice around, and like the newer Disney version of it, and they're good friends and stuff. Whereas in the reality of the books, the Tweedles aren't even in Wonderland. They're in Through the Looking Glass, the second book. They're not even involved in the first half of the story, so to speak. And they only are in one scene. And then you never see them again. They don't show up again. And they are not lovable. You're supposed to hate the Tweedles because the author, Lewis Carroll, wrote them because he was using them to represent how he despised little boys.
Oh, really?
Because he thought that they were annoying and that little boys were just rambunctious and wanted to break and run around and do that type of stuff. And he used the Tweedles as those annoying, bullyish little boys, like at a young age. And so you're not supposed to sympathize with them and everything. So there's differences, and my script is pretty true to the book, even using narration from the book as this character called the narrator over the course of the play is telling the story to the audience.
Great, because the I always get Alice is really complex. I mean, it's one of the most complex stories. We see it on Disney as being this thing, but it's really between the references they're making to other things, and then so the Tweedles did the Walrus and the Carpenter, right?
Yep. And there's a lot of poems inside of Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, and I've actually taken quite a few of those poems and turned them into songs that are in our show, which makes it sort of a musical. I'd say it's sort of a musical because it's not a full musical, and the musicians actually come out onto this higher level stage while the actors perform lower for a couple of those songs. So it makes it sort of concert-like in the sense that they're playing the music up there, singing up there while the actors are down here. And there are other poems that just get turned into just a lyrical piece that someone sings. So there's musical components to our show, but I wouldn't call it a musical.
Oh, okay.
Now, will we see some of the other traditional characters like Cheshire Cat and the Mad Hatter?
Yep. All those characters exist, and there's not a whole lot from the more contemporary adaptations that are wrong when it comes to the characters that exist in them. And I won't even say wrong, because it's just interpretation, it's art, people can do whatever they want, but when it comes to the source material, they usually just take the characters and then elaborate on them in a way that deviates from the story. Like often people connect Red Queen and Queen of Hearts into one. They usually use the name interchangeably, which they're not. The Queen of Hearts is the queen of the hearts in the deck of cards in Wonderland, whereas the Red Queen is the chess piece queen in Through the Looking Glass.
Interesting.
Wonderland, you're kind of playing a game of cards, and Through the Looking Glass, Alice is playing chess, and so they're two different games being played.
I'm learning
too.
I'm learning a lot.
Well, I did read the article. There was a great article in the Eagle Times. That's where I
Bill
got some of my,
Lockwood. He's awesome.
He is awesome. He does great. He always highlights local stuff, and it's great. So that's why I learned a lot reading that, and that's why I'm intrigued with the whole interpretation. Because I didn't know. First of all, I didn't even know there was 2 books. But and then you have another component that you brought in. Talk about your Alice's.
Oh yeah. Well, there are a few things that I have taken liberty on when it comes to the story, and there's 2 really. One is that Alice, over the course of the story, constantly mentions how she feels like she's changed. How she even says, "Have I become a different person?" She's questioning her identity often. And I decided to roll with that. One, just because I always liked the idea that she changes over the course of the story so much. But then 2, I wanted to give actors the opportunity to play Alice, who instead of just one kid getting that opportunity, multiple could. And so ended up giving the part of Alice to 6 different kids that that tried out for the show, and they play Alice in different scenes. And it actually worked out to help set changes move more quickly, because when one Alice exits over here, the other Alice just pops out into the next scene over here.
Nice.
So like, you can have fun and do a few magic tricks that way with the Alices moving about. And then the second thing that's altered from the original source material is there's this concept of Underland, which is the world that is under Wonderland, which is where my nonprofit gets its whole name from. And so there's this place called Underland, and it's down in a rabbit hole that you find in Wonderland. And that's the question, like, what's down there? And Alice finds that out in this version of the story. And so that's kind of an original bit of the story that I've created at the very end of the play, where you learn about what makes Wonderland be a thing and what is it.
Oh, wow.
So it's nice that you provided a venue and that you had 6 young folks interested, which is a pretty good turnout, I would say.
And I think we actually had like 8 or 9 kids, actually, but 6 of them are the Alices.
Yeah, that's nice that there's an opportunity, that you've given them an opportunity locally to express their art.
And I guess that's another high thing we might highlight about the new Main Street Arts is that, as we were talking earlier, you're doing a lot to create opportunities for people to do things outside of not just acting, but creating scenes, writing music, painting, doing all sorts of a variety of things that they can get involved in at Main Street Arts and sort of get out of watching things on the internet.
But we can use that, what they watch on the internet, and be like, okay, go on YouTube, learn about this thing, and then you're going to do that for me backstage.
That's great.
But yeah, it's been great, and I've really enjoyed working on this, and a big emphasis on the community aspect of the work, and trying to make sure that everybody has a place at Main Street Arts, and offering enough programs or workshops or plays, whatever we can, so then people have those outlets.
Because this earlier. Didn't you do acting classes too? That you did. You conducted personally. Not that you took them, but you presented them, I guess.
After auditions for Alice, up until the beginning of July, we had acting classes going on.
That's pretty cool.
That's nice.
And those have finished off, and our next type of program that I'll be running is going to be replacing the first, third, and fourth Mondays that I was doing acting classes. Now it's going to be 2 acting troupes that's based on a style of theater that I really love called Commedia dell'arte, which is created back during the Italian Renaissance, and it's where we get the term slapstick when we're referring to slapstick comedy, like physical comedy. And it's a huge inspiration to our modern improvisational acting, like whose line is it anyways type of stuff. All that comedy, funny stuff is all kind of based inevitably in Commedia dell'arte.
Oh, nice.
And it's a style of theater where everybody wears a half mask, and there's a lot of the time long noses to them and stuff. And long noses usually represented whether someone was a liar, and also could also represent whether someone was foolish or not. The longer the nose, the more foolish that character was.
Totally off. Is that why Pinocchio's nose grows?
I have no idea whether there's a correlation between that.
I wonder if that was some relationship to that.
Right, you're a liar that makes you foolish.
And your nose grows, or you're foolish. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any correlation between those two.
I often draw strange correlations while we talk here, so Marty enjoys it.
And one of the Commedia troupes will be youth focus, and that's from 5 until 7 on those days. And then the adult troupe is from 7 until 9:30. And the adult troupe will actually get paid to be an actor inside of this troupe.
Wow.
Whenever we put on shows at any venue, which we hope to travel this show around, maybe even to Boston or New York when we can try to find a location there, Anytime we perform somewhere, once venue costs are paid for, then the actors, myself, and all the techies that are involved, which don't need a lot for Comedia, not a lot of techies are necessary, but everybody gets an equal share, split
what an interesting idea.
of the tickets. Because a lot of the time now, people are starting to look to get paid for this type of stuff because it's a job. Even like inevitably that there are people professionally doing this, getting paid millions of dollars.
Yes.
And so we're looking at this as an opportunity to give some adult artists the opportunity to know that they're getting paid for what they're doing. And everybody inside of the troupe is equal in that sense. And a lot of grants are starting to look at that. A lot of
That's
grants
great.
that have to do with plays have that inside one of their questions, saying, are people getting paid inside your group? And they're actually looking for you to say yes. They're not looking for
you to say no.
to say no.
Usually they're looking for you to say no.
No, they want to know that people inside of the troupe are being viewed,
Are being valued.
valued. Yes, that's a great
Yeah.
word to use for
Yeah.
it. Yes, valued. And but yeah, it's a hilarious form of comedic physical acting. Everybody's speaking in gibberish. Everybody's wearing these masks. Huge acting that is not natural or real at all. It's all over the top. Very old traditional style acting of just big gestures and stuff. And yet the whole concept of like slipping on a banana peel. You know what that is, and you know that's true. That's called a lazi or a lazo, and that's a gag in Commedia dell'arte. And so when you see someone peel a banana in a film and throw it on the ground and it stays there on the peel for a little bit, you know someone's
gonna
doing it. That's part of the comedy of Commedia, is those jokes that the audience get in on that the actors don't know about, but they're creating those moments for the audience to appreciate while they're watching. It's a very funny form of theater, and we'll be doing it, hopefully a performance once a month, starting at least in like the very end of September, and then from there on doing performances, and we can
Might
get
that
those
tie?
filmed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Might that tie to live events that are happening at the Opera House?
Yes, we could eventually perform at the Opera House. It's really just the expenses at that point, about whether the troupe could afford to perform at a larger venue, not knowing whether we'd pull in enough people
pulling enough people
to be able to offset that. But
Maybe
we
in
have
the future. Yeah.
Yes, we have a great relationship already with the Opera House because I kind of
Well, that's
work in both.
We're previewing next week's show.
But we do support each other. Like the Opera House is supporting Main Street Arts by being a sponsor, and then Main Street Arts is doing advertisement for the Opera House through our programs and stuff at our
Nice.
plays,
Yeah.
and then we get a spot on their slides at
Yeah,
the beginning
nice.
of their movies, and so
and
We're
those
down-
symbiotic relationships are so
Yes.
important in a small community like
collaboration
Hugely.
instead of competition.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're down to just under 2 minutes. So let's make sure that the audience knows, number one, how to get tickets to so we can book those last 68 tickets. How to
Yes,
get tickets to the
please.
Book of Alice.
Yeah, that would be on our website under our events section, mainstreetarts.org.
Org.
Yep, and I always get confused whether it's a com or org. And yeah, under our events section, there should be just a button to click that can take you right to tickets. And it would be wonderful if we could get up to 150 pre-sales before the
Nice.
event,
Do you
because
think
this
that-
all supports future work that we do.
Does that allow for walk-ins at the door still? Or is
It
that still-
does.
Yeah, okay.
150 on average would then say we've got 50 per night, and our maximum capacity for each of these productions is 70.
Okay, so that just to make sure, because I know sometimes people don't like to, they like to wait till the last minute and
Yeah,
decide to
yeah.
go. So I
Right,
didn't want to
right.
make sure that was clear. And then if people, same thing, if people want to audition or do any of the things, just contact Main Street Arts, or should they email you, or what's the best way to do it?
They could look to the website, but if you are interested in getting more specific details about, maybe you have some questions about the programs or specific days and times, yes, email me at worldunderwonder at gmail.com. And that would be the best way to contact me if you're interested in auditioning for like the the commedia troops that we're going to be starting, or if you're interested in, if you're a kid, like a youth, and you're interested in taking part in a play, we're doing a play called She Kills Monsters in the fall, and auditions should be sometime in August, near middle to end of August.
Yeah.
But just keep an eye on the website for more details, or contact me to get those details. And it's a youth play about a girl whose family dies in a car accident, and then she connects with her deceased sister through a Dungeons and Dragons game that her sister left behind.
Wow,
for her to play.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
she learns more about her sister and is able to connect with her even though she's gone now.
Perfect.
Excellent.
So we are out of time.
All right.
And but the good news is Sean is actually coming back next week
Yeah.
for
and
part
you're
2
gonna talk about-
because we knew we couldn't get through all of it in 25
Yeah,
minutes
so, yeah,
to talk
next
about
week
the
we'll
Opera
be-
House.
Right. Sounds good. So
So-
until next week, we'll see you
Stay tuned.
and take it easy.
Thank you.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and